Hey everyone, I'm Christy, and I'm gonna be taking you through my favorite post-run stretch. It's going to help you reduce injury and improve your performance. All right, we're gonna start with our hands right behind our backs. I'm gonna drop the hips forward and let that chest just open up, lifting the chin, really wrap those elbows back. So sometimes when we're running, right, we get a little bit hunched forward and we're gonna let that chest open, taking deep breaths. And you can hold all of these stretches about 30 seconds. Go ahead and come on up. And because we're nice and warm, we're gonna take it a little deeper. Reach those arms back. Maybe we interlace the fingers or just give yourself a little grab on. Pull those knuckles down. Again, we're gonna lift the chest, roll the chest open. Just holding and breathing. Letting that heart rate come down, feeling the feet really grounded into the floor, and let that go. All right, we're gonna move into some IT stretch, getting into that lower body. So we're gonna plant one foot down. I'm going to cross the other one way back behind you. So it's past your standing leg, and we're kind of on this diagonal here with the leg. We're going to sit those hips back. We're gonna take the same arm, reach it up as high as you can, really lean into the side here. Okay, so that's gonna stretch out this whole lateral body. You know, lateral stability is so important in running, but it can get really tight. So getting that stretch in will feel good. Go ahead, bring the arms forward. Let that chest fall forward. Just let yourself kind of relax on the leg, but we're still really pushing the hip out to the side, stretching all down our leg here. Let's try the other side. So coming all the way up, we're gonna cross the other leg way back behind you, all the way across. We're gonna start with the arm up and we're leaning into the side, trying to really create a lot of space all down the side body, stretching the lats and the obliques and the abs, all the way down into the hip. Good, down into that leg, even that ankle a little bit too. And take the arms forward, same thing, leaning forward, but we're gonna sit into the hip a little bit. So we're letting that hip drop forward, putting some weight into that crossed leg. Nice, and coming all the way up. All right, let's get into our lower legs. So we're gonna go some calves and our soleus muscle. So take one leg back behind you. We're gonna start by just reaching that heel down with a straight leg. So heels reaching down towards the floor. You can place the hands on the hips and maybe that chest opens again. Just really feeling that stretch, lengthening the back of the leg. And I do recommend doing these stretches barefoot because it'll allow some of the feet muscles also in the fascia on the bottom of the foot to really find some length. Go ahead and bend that back knee, but we're still reaching that heel down. So we're trying to stretch the soleus muscle, which is a big long muscle that's flat underneath, you know, the calf. So we're just really pushing down into that heel. Nice, let's go ahead and switch sides. We're gonna start with the calf stretch. So we're just straight leg on the back, really reaching that heel down. Hands can go on the hips, just feel nice and tall. And still letting those deep breaths settle, recover, bring the heart rate down. Sending some oxygen out to those muscles, bend that back knee. Good, one more big breath here. And let's go ahead, we're gonna take it all the way down to the ground. So come on down, we're gonna go into a kneeling position. We've got one foot up in front of us and we're down on the other knee. Feel free to add a little padding under that knee if you need it. We're gonna send the tail underneath us. We're gonna go hip flexor. So we're trying to open up the front of our leg here. It's gonna go right into the quads as well, which we know can get real tight from running. So we're gonna sit up as tall as we can, tuck that tail under. Let's take the opposite arm up to the ceiling. Maybe add the little side bend in if you want a little extra. Breathing and just a little bit of pressure into that front hip. And once we feel like that hip flexor has feel nice and open after about 30 seconds or so, we'll take it forward. We're gonna go both hands on that front leg, just let the hips drop. All right, we're taking it a little bit further, moving that stretch into a new spot. Still keeping the chest up though for these first couple. And I always encourage people to let this be sort of an exploration for your own body too, because a little micro adjustment might really make that stretch way different, more intense, and more valuable for your body. So don't be afraid to move around in the stretch, in and out, to find the best stretch for your body. Let's come out for 1 second. You're gonna bring the hands right down to the floor and letting it pour forward. Now we're changing that stretch from our front leg, the bottom leg, to the sort of standing leg here, right? Trying to get a little bit more back of the hip, a little bit more glute maybe. If you'd like to, you can bring it all the way down onto the elbows. Depends on your flexibility and what feels good for you. And really just let the weight of your body fall forward. We'll take it up a notch, just do a little twist. So we're gonna plant one hand down, that outside hand. We're gonna let the hand closest to our front leg rise up, spin the chest open, a big twist, and let those hips still really pour forward. Feeling that nice deep spine stretch, right? We try not to do a lot of twisting when we run. So it's good after the run to get in some spine rotation, just to loosen those muscles up, because you still want to stay flexible and strong in those ranges of motion. Let's go ahead and come on out. We're going to move into a quad stretch. So for this one, we're going to reach back for our back leg. So we're reaching for that ankle. If knee pressure isn't feeling good, if you're getting a lot of cramping, just skip this one and find another variation to get into the quad. We're going to come all the way up carefully. You can hold onto something if you need to. Good. And let those hips drop forward. Just making that a little bit more intense. Keeping that chest open. All right, we're gonna spin our hips to the front, change the position for some inner thigh. So set your base up pretty wide here. So I'm actually trying to keep my knee on the outside of my hip a little bit and sending this foot pretty far away with a straight leg, knee and toes pointing forward. Hands down, we're gonna sit our hips back. And as we do this, we're trying to bring our hip as if we're gonna bring it down to the floor. We're looking to get some nice inner thigh adductor stretching. And we're gonna actually move in this one. So I want you to shift your weight forward, take a breath, and we'll exhale, reach the hips back towards the heel and actively wrap that hip down. Nice. Last one, we're gonna take it a little further. We're gonna place the right hand down, opposite hand down. So right hand if you have the right leg out. So it'd be the same hand as foot, whichever side you're on. You're gonna twist the shoulders open. This one, I always feel my adductors turn on, especially after a long run where I maybe haven't, or I've probably used those adductors quite a bit to keep my legs in alignment. And bring it back down. All right, let's go ahead and change to the other side. So we're gonna bring the other leg forward, starting with our hip flexor stretch. So starting here, we're gonna set that foundation up. You've got the knee under the hip, you're gonna send that hip forward. Slide the tail underneath you. Core's turned on a little bit here. And just gently press forward. And then if you wanna take it, you can bring the arm up, maybe adding a little bit of side bend. Any way that you can really just access some nice deep hip flexor down into quad lengthening. And we'll take both hands forward on that front leg. And this time we're gonna actually let the hips pour forward. And because we're already nice and warm post-run, let yourself fall into that stretch, especially one like this. Let the muscles relax. And let them really find their sort of end range of motion today. And coming out of this one, we're gonna go ahead, dive those hands down to the floor. We're gonna actually let the chest fall down this time, hips drop down, and we're looking to maybe get a little bit more hip work on that left side, but we're still keeping the back long. Even if you're trying to go all the way down to the elbows, we're still trying to maintain some length out through the head. It'll help us access more length and stretch in the hips. Coming out of that for a moment, we're gonna plant that right hand down or the opposite hand down of whatever leg is up. Same arm, twist the spine, and we open that arm all the way up. Nice big spine twist, but we're still keeping those hips dropping forward. we're focusing more on the hip stretch than on the spine twist. All right, we're coming back for our quad stretch. So I would shorten my stance a little to make sure I have enough sort of support here. We're gonna reach back for that back ankle, or maybe the foot, wherever you feel like you can grab, carefully bringing yourself up for that quad stretch. Nice. Try not to let this cramp up in here. Let this release down. Keep those hips pressing forward. This can always be done with a strap if reaching back, or a belt to loop around the foot if reaching back is posing a little bit of a challenge to get into this. And we're gonna spin our hips now into our inner thigh stretch. So again, we're gonna set up that base pretty wide. So either right under the hip or a little bit wider. Toes and knee are forward, hands down in front of you. And we're gonna go long spine. We're gonna rock back, sitting our hips down towards our heel, letting that hip drop down. And we'll move pretty slow through this one. And again, you'll hold for about 30 seconds. You can move in and out of the stretch, which I find to be really helpful for my body, but sometimes just holding it is exactly what you need. So try both options, see what feels good for you. And we're gonna go into our twist next. So you're gonna place the left hand, or the same hand as leg, down. Go ahead and turn yourself away from that leg. Nice big twist. You're pushing down into the floor to access a little bit more, really getting into that hip socket. All right, we're gonna come all the way down onto our backs. So go ahead and lay yourself down. And we're gonna cross one leg over in sort of a figure 4 type shape. So part one of this stretch is we're gonna place one hand on the thigh. I want you to just push that thigh away from you, right? Without your whole body moving, right? Keep it nice and stable. Just push that thigh away, creating some space in the hip, front of the hip, and prepping for our figure 4 stretch. All right, we're gonna pop that bottom foot off the floor. We're gonna go all the way up into the figure 4. Go ahead and, if you want to, you can either interlace or grab onto the thigh, pull those legs in towards you. Nice deep hip stretches, right? That glute medius, glute minimus, maximus, the whole sort of hip, back of the body section on this left side if you have your left leg up. That's why we do our figure 4. One more breath. All right, we're gonna take it out. So let that go. Take the arms a little wide here to maybe a T. We're gonna twist the body. You can set the heel down, twist the body to one side. Okay, we're hoping to get a little bit of a different stretch on the hip. We're keeping our shoulders down. We have a little twist. And then we're gonna reach for that top leg, and we're just gonna pull it down towards the floor. I like to think about my knee sort of reaching towards my armpit without like pulling it out of the 4 shape. So just a little pressure down. Nice, take another breath or two here, whatever feels good for you. And then you'll find yourself all the way back to center. We're gonna take that same leg straight up to the ceiling. Oh, the hamstring stretch. Hands behind the leg. Let's do a little flossing here. We're gonna flex that foot, drive the heel to the ceiling, and then a point of the foot. So we're just gonna flex and point that leg, seeing if we can get into the lower leg. If the knee is bent here, if hamstrings are extra tight, take it lower and still go for this sort of flossing movement of the foot. It's best to work where the leg is lengthened. And we'll take a couple circles. I would say, 3 to 5 in each direction, just to loosen that ankle joint. And then last little bonus here, keep that heel reach, pull that leg a little closer to you. Holding it for 30 seconds. Don't skimp on those hamstring stretches. It is so important to increase our stride length, to increase our power. And just to really keep those hamstrings injury free. Go ahead and switch it out. We're gonna cross the other leg over, starting with that figure 4, pushing that thigh away. I'm imagining my hip lifting away and this femur bone pushing down and out, just opening that space up. And then we'll pop the leg off, figure 4 stretch. You can interlace those hands behind the thigh or just find anywhere to really grab on and pull it in. This can always be done from sitting. If you prefer the figure 4 seated position, that's also a great option, a great stretch. And we'll take it into our twisted figure 4. So you'll set the leg down first, take those arms out to a T, and just let it twist over. Notice the shoulders stay down. So you're only gonna let that lower body go as far as you can without those shoulders kind of popping off here. So holding the stretch for a second, and then adding that little extra, grab onto the top leg and pull it in towards you. So you're pulling that thigh bone towards the rib or knee towards the armpit. Hug it in, feeling that glute stretch up on this side. And after that 30-second hold, go ahead and bring yourself back. We're gonna take the legs straight to the ceiling. Hands come back just to sort of hold it in place. And find wherever that straight leg position is for you. We're gonna go into the floss. So you're flexing, pointing, really drive that heel up, peeling those toes as far back as you can. And then going into a few ankle circles, trying to make as big of a circle as you can with the ankle and foot. Actually move your toes. Okay, it's gonna help strengthen and lift the fascia and the muscles on the bottom of the foot, keeping that arch nice and strong. Go ahead and reverse that circle if you haven't already. And ending with my favorite, or least favorite, I guess. Flex that foot, pull that leg in towards you, hamstring stretch, hold it, breathe, keep that back nice and long. Taking that last moment, that very last stretch, that is the end of your run, right? The stretch is always part of it. Never let that stretch go. Never skip the stretch. Always do it. It's part of the whole thing. Using this as that culminating moment to wrap up, how did that go for me today? How am I feeling now? And what does the rest of my day look like? How am I gonna bring myself and show up to the rest of my day? Even if you're ending your day with your run or starting it. And let that go. Awesome job. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful. Make sure that you always get that stretch in right after the run. Thank you so much again. My name is Christy, and I will see you next time.